Hey, Michelle, are you ready for today's episode?
I'm excited about this one. Guys, we are talking about learning English with Netflix. Lindsay, do you like to binge watch shows or not so much?
Oh my gosh, occasionally I will get into something and I will definitely binge, but it's dangerous because I don't want to be awake at 3 in the morning binging on 16 episodes. But Michelle, today we're going to talk about, is this good for your language learning, binging, or should you take it slowly and watch one episode of a good show at a time? Michelle, are you ready to get into this?
Let's get into it, guys. Make sure that you hit subscribe on your YouTube player so you don't miss anything from All Ears English.
All right, let's get started. Hey there, Michelle. How's it going?
Good. Lindsay, how are you?
Oh my gosh, today's video is on YouTube. So if you guys want to see us recording this, you can come over and subscribe to our YouTube channel. But if you're just hanging out in the podcast, that is great too.
That is great too. Awesome. Okay, Lindsay, are you watching any shows on Netflix now?
Oh my gosh, I was rewatching Sex and the City for a long time.
That was on Netflix?
Oh, maybe it was on Amazon Prime, actually. I think of them as the
It's
same, to be honest.
sometimes it can be hard to remember like what's on
Yeah.
what.
I don't know what's on what, but yeah, I do. I binge. I'm guilty of it. I'm just like the next person. How about you, Michelle? Are you a binger on Netflix?
Yeah, I can be. I definitely can be. But recently, like I'm not streaming any Netflix shows right this second, but I have
Okay.
recently, and I am now actually I'm watching this show about the Bill Clinton impeachment. Have you heard about this?
Ooh, I saw a ad for that, the Monica Lewinsky stuff,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. It's
We,
good
I
so
we
far.
saw that and we were thinking, oh, we should watch that. It looks good. Is it good?
It's pretty good so far. I've only seen 2 episodes. I think there have been 3. But one of the things I'm happy about is the first 2 episodes I had to binge to catch up, but
Okay.
now it's just on weekly. So it's kind of refreshing because they're long episodes and I
Yeah.
can't binge them now. So I'm caught up. So I'm like,
Good.
okay.
Good. So you can put it down, right? Put it down because
I have
otherwise, yeah. Yeah. It's much healthier, isn't it? All of a sudden you look up and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you're still watching this show and it's just not healthy. It's not good.
Yeah, I'm very happy when I don't have to binge something, but it's so nice too. But so I'm watching that right now, but also Seinfeld is coming to Netflix. So I will not be binging
Oh.
Seinfeld because I know it, but guys, you might notice if you have Netflix that Seinfeld is coming and that's going to be exciting.
Oh, that's cool. Seinfeld is such a cultural icon. In a prior episode recently, we talked about close talking, and there's the close talker
Yeah, the
episode,
close
right?
talk. Yeah, there are just so many references. So, guys, I highly recommend when Seinfeld comes to Netflix. Like, it's gonna be, I think it actually by the time you see this, it's gonna be on
Oh,
Netflix.
fantastic. That's fantastic.
So, anyway, and I was just talking about this with Dan. Like, you know how Friends had such a resurgence when it came on Netflix and became trendy and cool. And I wonder if I think Seinfeld is still very popular, but I wonder if like it'll become cool with a younger audience or if it's just such a different kind of humor. I'm
Mm,
very curious.
that's a really good question.
Thank you.
I kind of doubt it. I feel like it's had
It's
its
still
time. Or Gen X or millennials, they were the target for that. And I don't know if Gen Z or the really younger kids are gonna like it. I don't know. I would bet
it's
against that.
interesting. I mean, but I'm curious because they put it there for a reason. Like they like
Right. Yeah, that's
so,
true.
guys, we'll have to see, but it's an
Yeah,
amazing show if you've never watched it. But yes, so
yeah.
let's talk about this more. Let's talk about learning English with Netflix. We've talked a little bit about English and Netflix and those kinds of things on the show before, but Lindsay, we're talking about this idea as binge watching or not binge watching, and and how like that can impact learning English.
Yes. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, if you're gonna be addicted to anything, you might as well be learning something, right? There could be
Yeah,
much worse addictions that I can think of. I mean, some of our listeners have said that they're addicted to all ears English. That's a good thing to be
yeah, they
addicted
might
to.
binge listen. Yeah, or binge watch if you're on YouTube. Yes. Right.
Mhm.
Well, it's true. If you have a learning and I look at, if you're learning a language, I do look at the TV show as learning.
Yeah.
So guys, also if you want to listen to more of our thoughts on this, go to episode 448. Way back.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. This was what TV shows should you binge watch to learn to connect in English. So I talked a little bit about binge watching them, but like let's get into, some of the benefits
Okay.
of binge watching versus kind of spreading things out.
Okay, let's get into it. So, a benefit is that well, what do we mean here, Michelle? We can understand plot lines quickly. Is that right? What does that mean?
Well, it's just kind of a challenge. You have to you
Mm,
don't have too much time to think. You have
yeah.
to very quickly like jump from one to the next. So you can also practice watching with someone very quickly, or like not necessarily in the same room. It doesn't have to be, but like let's say you and your friends are watching, the same
Mhm.
show and you're kind of
Mhm.
binge watching it together. It can be kind of like a book club in a way.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so it's just like I think it's just a different kind of learning if you do it quickly rather than spreading it out.
Right. Interesting. And the idea, and this could actually, the skills that you build here are going to translate nicely to group conversations, group dinners with native speakers, where you're trying to follow the story and
Right.
understand what's going on. What are people talking about? Right.
Exactly. I think we talked a little bit about binge watching ones on Conversations and
We
Coffee, which was
did.
our group conversation program.
Yep.
So I think, yeah, we talked about that a little bit, like what we prefer. I mean, another benefit could be that learning can be more efficient, right? So you have to
Hmm.
learn faster. I mean, we talk about sometimes learning too much at once. Like I'm going to use the expression I just made up, I think, binge learning, right? So when we talk about like adding too many vocabulary words, and sometimes it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I think it could be similar with binge watching. However, it could be a good challenge.
Yeah. And I also think that sometimes when you're listening to English, whether it's watching Netflix or listening to a podcast, you don't have to be actively listening all the time.
True.
So I guess if you're trying to follow a TV show, it's okay. Maybe you want to binge on music in English instead because you don't have to be actively understanding it. But some TV
Mm,
shows are a lot more basic. You can choose
yeah.
how complicated you want the plot to be. If you're watching a complex crime show, that you want to be on with your energy. If you're watching a simple comedy like Friends, I mean, you don't exactly have to be 100% tuned in. So you can have
Right.
English on in the background. That could be another benefit of binging.
Right. I don't know. Like, I feel like yeah. No, you're right. People do binge watch things that are not as intense. I feel like the
Yeah.
shows that I binge watch are the most like
The
intense
most
ones.
intense. Oh, like Orange
So
is the
I
New
don't
Black.
really. Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. I mean, and another thing is a really good thing about this is good for connection. I mean, when everybody's binge watching something in the office or whatever, if you
Yeah.
are also doing that, then you can stay up to date with others, like
Yeah.
so I think the most popular shows nowadays are often binge, so you can quickly catch up, have conversations with people at work, other
Totally.
people you want to connect with. So I think that's another kind of side benefit.
Totally. You guys are always telling us that you want ideas to start conversations. Well, yeah, if you watched the TV show last night that everyone's watching, you could say, hey, how about XYZ? What about that
Yeah,
line? What about this relationship on this
right.
show? I mean, you've got
Right.
so much material to work with. It's so good.
That's
Right.
right. That's right. But some of the drawbacks are, like we said, it's good to learn a lot at once, but it may not give you enough time. It might be too fast or too much at once.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I don't know if
So
you can slow down. Can you on Netflix, can you actually play like 0.5 pace? I don't
ooh, good
think
question. I
so. It's a good question.
don't think so.
No,
But
I don't
maybe.
think so.
I don't know. I haven't like looked deep in my settings for that, but maybe
Uh,
I'll take a look.
yeah,
And then also it's not really good for just like having a real study plan, right? If you take more
yeah.
time, you might be able to really like dive deep into it and learn the vocab and
Okay,
all sorts
okay.
of things. But like you don't quite have the same time in this way.
So you're saying it's kind of skimming the surface a little too much to actually be studying. It's more like entertainment. It's just,
And that's fine too. That's
yeah,
fine too. But if you're looking to like really like start to kind of like build a whole thing from this,
yeah,
maybe that's not the best way. I
yeah.
mean,
I agree with that.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then
totally.
also, of course, it's just time consuming, right? Like you might not get enough sleep.
This has definitely happened to me before. I get into something and again, I'm up at 3 in the morning. What? It doesn't happen very much. I'm not really a big binger. I try not to watch the iPad in bed. I would rather read the news or read a book, but Yeah, sometimes it happens. Has it happened to you, Michelle? I have a feeling yes, because you're a night owl.
Yeah, of course it has, but I do try and turn off the TV earlier
Okay.
earlier than I used to. But certainly, I mean, it's a big discussion of, should we watch one more or not?
Yeah.
But I would not say like I am gone are my days of being like I'll just watch until 3 in the morning. Like that
Oh,
doesn't
good.
happen to me
Not
anymore. I'm up
happening anymore.
early and that's it.
Okay.
But
Good.
okay, and then spreading something out. So the opposite, if you watch a show like week to week, what are
Yeah.
the benefits of that?
Okay, so this is instead of binging, this is the other thing you could do, guys, which is just on the weekly schedule. When it comes out is when you watch it. This is the benefit of kind of cable TV. You can only watch it when it comes out, right?
Mhm,
Yeah. So the
mhm.
benefit is that you study more thoroughly because you only have one piece of content. You don't have 6 in a row. So you can prepare. We talk about with learning, we prepare for something language wise by making a prediction. You can talk to your friends. What do you think is going to happen on the show tonight? That's so good for learning, Michelle.
Right, right, right. Exactly. Yeah, you can make predictions, all sorts of things. And you can have, like Lindsay said, time to have those conversations about each episode, right? Kind of build
Yeah.
up the excitement. You know
Yeah.
that everyone's on the same episode because it's just coming out weekly. And you can build up that tension, that excitement. What do you think is going to happen next week? So that can bring about connection as well.
Yeah, it makes me think of like if I have a piece of chocolate cake in front of me, right? The chocolate cake is this show that I love so much. I'm going to eat it slowly and enjoy it. I'm not going to just like wolf it down. That means I'm not going
Yeah.
to enjoy it as much. So, like, yeah, I prefer this method. It's old school, but it's
Well, and it takes less time at once, right? It's
yes,
just a little bit at
yes,
a time, and that's a benefit too. I mean, the drawbacks of this, I mean, listen, it's different if you like we're talking about two different things. One where it's like
yeah. I
on
think
cable
we
and you
are.
have to wait,
Yeah,
and one is just if you have all the shows in front of you.
self control is what you're talking
Yeah,
about, Michelle.
self-control. So if you have all the shows in front of you, certainly it
Okay.
will take that discipline, that self-control to just watch a little bit at a time.
I love it. And then what would be another drawback of that? Are we going to miss out on something?
Well, if people are really binging things in your
Yeah.
office, then you might. First of all, we've talked about spoilers before. You might hear something you didn't want to hear, or you just might not be able
Right.
to contribute.
Oh yeah, and we've done an episode on this too, and it's a spoiler alert phrase, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Spoiler alert. I've seen people accidentally reveal to other people the end of a show that they knew they were
Yeah,
really into, and it's a big faux pas in the social communication world, right,
right.
Michelle?
It is.
It's a big faux pas. So be careful of that. Well, what's the takeaway for today, Michelle? What's the final advice for our listeners?
Guys, whatever way you choose, just go into it knowing like that you're making that choice and like what are some ways that you can change up your learning and your studying based on that. Or if you're just watching it for entertainment, that's fine too. Or
Yeah.
actively listening or passively listening, whatever it is. But guys, choose popular shows. I think that's good for conversations with connecting with others, but also ones that interest you and don't watch something you're not interested in.
Yeah, but I do like the advice, Michelle. Try to choose something. It doesn't have to be the most mainstream show if that's boring to you, but something that's common so that you can also get to have that conversation with people because you'll have that content, right? And that's the cool part.
Right, right, right. Or sometimes just try something new, like try a different genre. Maybe you don't usually like historical, shows or something like that, but maybe that give that a try. And then also if you want, write down words in a journal. So those are some ideas for,
Nice.
using Netflix and other streaming services or cable to learn English.
All right, Michelle, good ideas today. It's so good to know. I think the key is just be intentional. No matter what you're doing, guys, know what you're doing and why you're doing it. If you're binging,
Yeah,
you know why you
exactly.
are. If you're not, you know why you're not. That's the key, right? All right,
That is a
cool.
good point. Yes, I love it.
Okay, Michelle, good to talk to you today. I'll see you soon on the next episode.
Bye bye.
Bye.